Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Hello, and welcome to the Think Factory, where we speak with industry leaders and learn about pressing industry issues as well as their secrets to success. My name is Susan Kleiner. I'm a partner with Outside General Counsel Solutions, and I'm the host of today's Think Factory episode. I'm so happy to have with me here today Amy Zitelman. Amy is the co-founder and CEO of Soom Foods, the leading purveyor of tahini and tahini products in the U.S. market. Soom Foods is the preferred tahini of award-winning chefs and home cooks across the country, the top tahini brand in Whole Foods Market and on Amazon, and has been featured in publications such as the New York Times, Forbes, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, and more. Soom Foods is based in Philadelphia, and she lives in the area. She received the prestigious Philadelphia Business Journal Women of Vision Award in 2024, and she's a proud University of Delaware graduate. Thank you, Amy, so much for being here with me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tahini is great, and obviously I think you could talk for a long time about tahini. But I want to talk to you about your business and about your company. And in learning about you, two things really stuck out for me. One, that you're a successful family business where everyone still gets along, which I'd love to hear more about. And two, about how COVID actually helped your company grow and how you were able to turn COVID into a really positive experience. So with that, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me about the business. Tell me about your family.
Sure. Well, if I may, just to describe tahini, because most people still don't know what tahini is. It's really the mission that we've set out to overcome. But tahini, for those of you not familiar, is an ingredient. It's made from 100% roasted and pressed sesame seeds. And it's very versatile for savory and sweet dishes, but it's probably most familiar in the American market because we use it to make hummus. And in fact, the secret to good hummus is good tahini. And so I come from a family that loves food. Actually, what's interesting, as I had the opportunity to explore, is that I come from a family of food entrepreneurs. So while culinary is not the forward mission of what shaped us into Soom, my sisters and me, my father's father had a restaurant in Washington, D.C. My mother's father was a butcher. My father's grandparents had a store in Baltimore when they immigrated from Russia. And so I found it really interesting that we have a history of food entrepreneurship and, quite frankly, entrepreneurship in general. And it's actually that I had the opportunity to start this with my two older sisters that has made this a really interesting and exciting family business.
Okay, wait. So tahini, thank you for talking about that. And I'm embarrassed and ashamed to tell you that the first time I tried to make hummus, not having tahini, I used peanut butter. It was not good.
Probably not.
But also, you talk about sweet and savory, and how normally it's in hummus. But I know that you actually have a sweet snack that's gotten a lot of press and that's out there. So maybe you could give people a shout out to look for it and where they should find it.
Sure. So we also have a newer product line, our snack bites that are made with dates, tahini, and oats. Dates and tahini are a very popular flavor combination in Israel and across the Middle East. Our roots into tahini actually stems from Israel, where my middle sister Jackie lives and is married to an Israeli that's been in the tahini or tahina industry at this point for almost 20 years. And so we were inspired actually in meeting Omri's family. His mother Rachela cooked a carrot cake when she first met our mom. The funny thing is that carrot cake happens to be our mom's favorite cake. And when we asked her why was the carrot cake so delicious, she shared with us that she substituted tahini for the vegetable oil. And that really got us excited. Of course, we had known tahini for hummus and sauce and a variety of savory applications, but tasting it in a carrot cake and also the way that it brought our families together, I think really lit that entrepreneurial and mission-based spark in us to make tahini a more popular ingredient in the American market. So yes, we've heard lots of stories from people that have either had terrible experiences with tahini or terrible experiences trying to substitute tahini for something else. But on that sweet note, we also sell a chocolate spread. It's made with tahini, powdered sugar, and cocoa powder. That's it. And it's a delicious substitute for Nutella. So sweet applications for tahini are some of my most favorite ways actually to use the ingredient.
So you got your start because of carrot cake with the two moms, and then I guess it filtered into the three sisters, right? So it's you and Shelby and I think Jackie. But tell me, like, how did it all begin? How did you get from carrot cake to an award-winning tahini business?
So we had the joke that Shelby had a business degree, Jackie married a tahina expert, and I needed a job. But really, how that all plays out is that Shelby studied business. She actually studied entrepreneurial management. She was in a role, recently graduated, where she was helping other entrepreneurs build out business plans and find mission-based businesses. And when she met Omri, Jackie's husband, she started asking, I think, typical entrepreneurial questions like, what tahini is available in the States? Why isn't it more popular? Why aren't we using it more? And she tagged me, kind of a directionalist senior at University of Delaware. And she said, Amy, I need you to do market research. And I kid you not, my answer was, what is market research? And she was like, okay. Go buy every tahini that you can find. Because remember, this was back in 2011. So people weren't selling tahini online. They weren't selling tahini on Amazon. You really had to go to the grocery stores. And what I found was that in the stores or talking to people, or quite frankly, even talking to chefs, most had no idea what tahini was. If they did, they only really used it to make hummus and maybe a few other things. And they couldn't name the brand name that they were using. So that kind of framework for us seemed to be an opportunity. I think for most people, they would say, there's nothing here. Nobody knows what this is. We've got to find something else. But I think entrepreneurship lives in our blood, and we like a challenge. And we were dumb and young, and we said, why don't we try to make tahini a more popular ingredient in the American market?
So now you didn't start off. I mean, I heard that your sister contacted you about doing the market research, but you didn't jump in right away. It wasn't your full-time job. You worked your way up to Soom Foods.
Yeah.
How did you get there?
Hardly. I partied my way into Soom Foods. I moved to Israel for a year myself and was really excited to be immersed in the culture and in such a great location to travel, especially in Europe. And we spent that year doing market research, including better understanding our supply chain. So most of our sesame, at the time it was all of our sesame, but at this point it's still most of our sesame comes from Ethiopia, from the Humera region of Ethiopia. Now our sesame also comes from other countries in Northeast Africa. And we went to Ethiopia for the first time also in 2012. So we spent some time, living our lives and really evaluating whether this was an opportunity that we wanted to pursue, and understanding our supply chain, both from where the seeds were being sourced and vetting manufacturing partners in Israel. So that was about 18 months between when the idea came about in 2011 until we started working on that first import. After living abroad, I moved to Philadelphia, which is where my older sister Shelby settled, because she also went to school in Philly. And my mom's family lived here. So I moved in with my aunt and uncle. I started working on our first import of 10 pallets of tahini. We sell about 10 pallets in an afternoon at this point, which is kind of fun to reflect on. And I started working on bringing that import in and making a list of all the grocery stores, the restaurants, the ice cream places, the smoothie stands. I mean, I still think that tahini can be sold everywhere and used everywhere. And I really just started with that very basic idea of, what do I do once the tahini comes in? Who can I sell it to?
Wow, good stuff. So that's 2012, 2013. Let's fast forward to 2020 and COVID, and you have a remarkable success story. Tell us more.
Well, between 2013 and 2020, we actually were primarily focused on the restaurant industry. We did sell to small regional stores. We sold to a few local Whole Foods, for instance, actually, because of that esteemed 30 for 30 nomination we got back in 2018. We were in about 100 Whole Foods in our area, but in very few retail stores. We were focused on restaurants, and we were focused on restaurants because A, they buy a lot more tahini and they buy it a lot more often. A restaurant could go through a 40-pound bucket of tahini a week, and a consumer wasn't even finishing 1 pound of tahini in a year. And also, they were tremendously effective at contributing to consumer education. The fact that they were putting more tahini on menus, coupled with the influence of restaurants and the influence of the chefs that lead these restaurants, we found that their authority greatly validated Soom's credibility and really helped us to garner more consumer attention than we would have done on our own. So since we weren't in grocery stores nationally, we were on Amazon. We got set up as a tahini on Amazon very early on, I think back in 2015 or 2016. And so we were mostly selling to restaurants, mostly selling on Amazon and in a few stores. Come March of 2020, our restaurant industry shuts down. I mean, it was 70% of our revenue. Our distributors were canceling orders. Our restaurateurs and chef friends were saying, we don't know if we'll ever have a restaurant again. And while we were very nervous, we were lucky because tahini is very shelf stable. It has about a 2-year shelf life from production. So we knew we had time on these bulk products that we had. We had 40-pound buckets of tahini, probably 40 pallets of them sitting in a warehouse. But literally almost overnight, our sales on Amazon and our sales in the grocery stores exploded. Because what was happening was that people were cooking at home, some for the first time, and especially trying some global ingredients and global recipes for the first time. So we had people ordering tahini to make hummus at home, or maybe jumping on the banana bread bandwagon by using some tahini instead of the oil there. And so when we recognized that growth in our consumer channels, that's when we actually decided to invest more in our business. Even though the restaurants were a little unsure, luckily within 3 months, the restaurants opened up for takeout and, those streeteries and outdoor dining kind of got settled over that summer. And what happened was that because we had so much inventory, supply chains across the world were greatly disturbed, but our tahini was available. So we found restaurants not only using our tahini, but using more of it once they opened up because our supply chain was reliable. And at the same time, our consumer sales had exploded. So we took time to actually carve out a plan to rebrand the product. Our product was not positioned well for consumer shelves. It wasn't a pretty label. The chefs didn't care what it looked like, and neither did the people that heard about it from the chefs or from Bon Appetit and Food and Wine. And we decided to bring on investors, invest in our business, and get ready to grow in our consumer channels. So in 2021, we actually acquired another small tahini product company. Their founder had great experience in growing in retail, which was the channel that we really wanted to succeed in. And since 2021, when we were in maybe 200 stores, we're now in over 5,000 doors. So we're really excited about the fact that COVID truly helped accelerate the customer acquisition of tahini far faster than we would have been able to accomplish with our very limited budget ourselves.
Wow, what a story. And I know on your website, you can see a map, I think, where you can buy the products, and it's everywhere. You can buy it everywhere. And who would have believed it back in, 2010, 2011, when your mom was getting served carrot cake, right? By,
Exactly.
that it would grow into this.
When we first started bringing in tahini, our mom was so worried. She was like, I don't even know what to do with this. And so we would find recipes that we would substitute tahini for other products in it. So for instance, my mom keeps kosher, and there was a very viral back in the day, it was before virality existed on the internet really. And it was a turmeric and Greek yogurt sauce that you would put on chicken, but we don't eat yogurt on chicken. And so we substituted tahini for the yogurt, and it was delicious. I actually ended up including that recipe. It's called tahini turmeric chicken, or mom's chicken, in my cookbook, The Tahini Table. And so even our mom, was worried about us, and we weren't sure how far tahini could go. However, it's gone farther than we could have imagined. At the end of last year, we actually secured 1,000 Walmart doors, and the tahini is doing very well there. So we have a lot of validation that tahini has accelerated past even the natural early adopters into conventional shoppers.
So with all of this success, and knowing, your mother was worried, I'm sure there were times that you were worried. What advice would you give to your younger self?
It's a great question. It's hard because of all the challenges that we went through. It helped shape us to who we are today. So I would tell my younger self to stay patient. We're always eager to find solutions to help us grow faster. And I'm sure, yes, with more capital or more experienced people, we could have. But the fact that we were able to retain so much of our own equity, and grow it ourselves with our own strategy and our own vision and our own really growing confidence, I think I would tell my younger self to be patient.
That's good advice. So what do you have coming up?
It's a great question. We recently secured a great partner in our food service distribution channel. It's a company called Dot Foods, and they sell to all the national accounts, both distributors and food service management companies. We're actually fresh off of the Dot Foods Innovation Show, and we had a tremendous experience there. We sampled a chocolate sesame cookie, and it really helped validate for some of these national accounts the fact that tahini can be used for more than just hummus or salad dressing. So we're really excited to continue to see tahini expand on national food service menus. We're very excited to continue to expand in retail. We've secured new regional distributors like Harris Teeter, if you're familiar. And of course, we're continuing to nurture our relationship with Walmart. That's very integral to the future success of the company. So we're really excited to massage everything that we've been able to accomplish over the 12 years to continue to expand tahini's place in the American market.
So where can people find you? You want to shout out your website, or, obviously they can go on Amazon or go to Walmart. They can find your product. Or where can people read more?
That's right. You can read more about us on soomfoods.com. That's S as in Sam, O-O-M as in mom, foods, plural. And actually, you can't buy our product on our website. That was something that we turned off at the end of 2023 because we recognized that it wasn't serving our strategy anymore. And instead, we actually encourage people to go to Amazon or to go to walmart.com. We're also sold in Whole Foods nationally. We're on Thrive Market and Misfit Market. We're on milkstreet.com. What we found was that we want to support the retailers and the e-commerce sites and the grocery stores that are supporting us. So instead of competing with them online, we're channeling our customers to find Soom where they most like to shop. So we don't want any disturbance in your shopping experiences. Hopefully, wherever you shop, you can find Soom. And that's really what we're working on.
Well, that's good stuff. So we ask everyone who appears on the Think Factory, what keeps them up at night?
Well, we talked a little bit about the fact that this is a family business, and I'm the last sister in the family. I'm the last sister in the business. My older sister, Shelby, went back into the business side of things, into finance. Jackie and her husband, Omri, have an amazing company that they're growing actually out of Ethiopia, focused on sesame seeds and coffee and tahini too from Ethiopia. So I feel a tremendous responsibility for our family's capital and for our family's reputation, obviously, in growing Soom. They're tremendously supportive and helpful, of course, but I do feel the burden, I would say, of being the one steering us into this next stage. Not to mention that we're also all mothers. I have 3 young sons now. And so I'm constantly considering the balance between growing my company and being home for the boys. I mean, especially after I just got off of a spring break, and I had chirps all morning saying, "Mommy, don't go to work. Mommy, don't go to work." So I would say that balancing, as I'm sure many can relate to, many parents can relate to, balancing our professional careers, which is tremendously rewarding, with my family life, which is also tremendously rewarding, is something that I balance or don't balance. I teeter-totter every day.
Well, that's a topic of a whole other podcast that we could talk about, whether or not work-life balance is actually a myth, which is what I think, but thus we digress. So maybe we'll have part 2 and we can convene and talk about work-life balance and how that's so tough. But in the meantime, we can all enjoy tahini. So I know I'm going to go check out some new recipes and maybe add it to banana bread. And I would encourage all our listeners to do the same. I want to thank you so much, Amy, for being here. I'm Susan Kleiner on behalf of our entire team at OGC Solutions and the Think Factory. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Be sure to check out our other Think Factory podcasts, where my colleagues talk to business leaders about industry trends and issues.